Welcome to the Rocky Talk Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. Hey, have you ever loved a band and everyone you know seems to hate them? Or have you ever hated a band and everyone you know seems to love them? That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's go to the bottom of this and see who deserves the hate and who deserves the love today on the Rocky Talk Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. Stay tuned. It's hard to quantify, hate, really. You know, it's one of those things that
starting off on a light note this episode.
Yeah, but there's so many people. There's obviously a whole spectrum of hate. There's like burning of 1,000 suns hate, and then there's sort of like this kind of stinks hate. There's like everything in between. But I think most people have like a low level hate towards a number of artists and bands. It's just true. And that, you know, if a band's, and that they always say, like, you know, if nobody's trashing you, you're not popular. That there's, if you can't be a really successful band without having a bunch of haters too.
Well, I mean, you can't exist in America without dealing with haters.
I believe you can exist in America without having haters.
Okay.
Do you think like the person who runs the bakery down the street has a bunch of haters?
You know what? On Yelp, probably.
Look at your fucking raisins in your buns, man. That sucks.
Dude, absolutely.
You know,
there's a huge, I mean, this culture, at least online, is all about.
You know that online isn't real life, though. I mean,
no, of course. Dude, I've tried to avoid it as much as I can.
Online is something, you know, it's people's worst id comes out online because they feel like there's no consequences for their douchebaggery.
Well, right, because they can hide behind screen names. Yeah, right. But that does seep into the broader culture.
I guess so. I think it just makes people generally unhappier. That just kind of makes everyone feel bummed out about life. You know, like, maybe I do suck. You know, if you're being told you suck all the time by people, even if you have good self-esteem, you're going to eventually start going, man, do I suck? Because I'm getting told I suck all the time.
Oh, it's a total psychological, it's horrible. If I could, you know, as much as I enjoy having access to all the information ever.
Yeah.
Hey, I am a fan of Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I gave them like $1 2 years ago.
Wow, putting your money where you really matter.
Damn straight, right? So I do, you know, I
Brian Bowe, philanthropist.
That's right. and then I wrote that $1 off on my taxes. Charitable donation.
I gotta believe there's gotta be some walk of life that's not subject to haters. There's gotta be.
Much as I love,
like pediatric oncologists, they have haters. Like, yeah, you suck. Yeah.
You know what? My buddy's a pediatric dentist, so I'll ask him.
Dentist is a little more hated group. If you're like a pediatric oncologist, you're literally trying to save children's lives every day of your life. Like, yeah, you fucking suck. You know,
man, the way that guy saved my life when I was a child was
he's such a douche.
He totally cheesed my surgery that saved he totally cheesed my heart surgery. Why doesn't he get good?
I gotta believe there's some walk of life that is not subject to haters. There has to be. You know what I mean?
Well,
gotta be, you know?
No, dude, not in America.
America?
Yeah.
That's true.
The trend in American culture is to try and appear deep and meaningful by criticizing stuff.
Well, yeah, everyone's perfect online. That's true. That is true.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's no person who's more like the subject of this though than artists. Because if you're an artist, I don't care what level artist you are. If you're putting art out, whether it be visual arts, you know, media like television or videos or short films, even YouTube videos, music, you know, performance videos, whatever you might be doing, you are bearing some part of yourself for all to see.
Oh, you got to make yourself vulnerable.
It takes a huge amount of courage, and the artists are so vulnerable to hate. It's like ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know,
I think people need to acknowledge that. Like, to be an artist is to have a huge amount of courage. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, yeah, you know, even, you know, you could end up, destroying popular music.
That's
and then, you know, killing yourself with heroin and a shotgun blast. And then,
which honestly, they should just reverse those.
And then 30 years later, a couple guys are going to have a podcast.
Yeah, tell about how much they hate you. Everybody who's an artist, though, should be feeling free to bare their soul unless they're Jack White. Then they should have just stopped at the begining.
I know. And Kurt Cobain wasn't an artist.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was a douchebag. Yeah, you know, but anyway, but by the way, welcome to the Rocky Talk Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. And we're going to talk today a little bit about, this is kind of fun. We're going to actually do some hating ourselves. We're going to be total hypocrites.
I know, I've been trying to kind of like circle around to the self-awareness part.
Yeah, we're going to hate on people and then love on people too. So we're going to do equal parts hate and love, just like, you know.
I don't know if I am.
Well,
there's only one half of this equation I'm going to be way
I will do
at.
my best to counterbalance Ryan's hate. hate with some love. There's just a handful of artists that I absolutely despise. We've already talked about two of them, Jack White and Kurt Cobain.
You're right.
Two people I just hate with a passion.
Although I really don't hate Jack White.
I don't understand how you can't hate Jack White. He's so hateable.
It's like some of the sounds he's made are not awful.
I think that's true of most people with colons too.
Not everyone though. Some people's colon sounds would be preferable to their vocal sounds.
Actually, I prefer that to anything the White Stripes ever did. Give me a sound of colon any day. You know, Factory Colon has been on corn trucks. What got Smilemans and such in America? We like our corn trucks.
Oh man. Yes, love the corn trucks.
Yeah, corn trucks, the colon blow.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, so now that we've ramped the silliness up to 11, folks.
Okay, so I'll go first. This is the subject that we're trying to kind of endeavor to talk about here is bands that we love that everyone else hates, or a lot of people hate,
or bands that we hate that everyone loves.
So I'll go right out of the gate. Band that I hate, everyone loves is White Stripes. I effing hate that band so much with the passion of 1,000 Suns. You know, I just can't stand them. Bullshit all around. Bullshit singing, bullshit playing, bullshit tones, bullshit songwriting. I just think they're just full of shit. I can't stand that band. There's no musicianship to be found anywhere. The songs are boring ass pieces of shit. I hate them so much. You know, I think. Okay. I mean, that's just.
Damn.
I just think there's nothing redeemable about Jack White. I really do. I think he's just a bullshit musician. But anyway, that's just.
I mean, I've got to give Jack White credit.
You don't have to.
It's
so easy to not.
For finally discovering and promoting the benefits of the EVH guitar.
Eddie Van Halen did a pretty good job of that too, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but I mean, at least he wasn't,
And by the way, you know else? Eric Peterson.
Well, totally. Oh, wait, what?
Eric Peterson from Testament. He's EVH.
Oh, yeah. Eric Peterson's awesome, man. Yeah, great dude.
That's a guy I want representing EVH. I don't want Jack White to represent EVH. You know?
Well, okay.
I'll take Lil Wayne.
Oh, you'd
take Jack White.
You'd rather.
Yes.
Well, so for the
Lil Wayne has got more musician credibility than Jack White. I'm sorry.
At least Jack White's not out there still repping a Fender Jagstang or a Jaguar or something.
Agreed, because anybody doing that needs to stop and rethink their life.
Yes.
I think that. I mean, I'm happy that EVH was seen in the hands of a total douchebag bullshit musician, I guess.
I think Jack White just kind of falls into the trap of, if it's old and junky, it must be good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that totally.
Yeah.
I think, I just, I can't, the fact that I have to go to like a football game or a baseball game or a basketball game and hear people chanting that dumbass riff.
Well, Seven Nation Army, that must have been on our episode of songs I never need to hear again.
Yeah, but that's just, it drives me nuts. I'm like, this whole stadium full of people singing this stupid ass riff, can we sing Smoke on the Water?
So you'll love this, right? So the other day when I was teaching at the shop, so I'm on the same day as one of the wind instrument teachers, and again, forgive me for not knowing exactly. I don't know if it was a horn or a saxophone.
If it makes you feel any better, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, thank you, right. So it was some wind instrument. And they were learning Seven Nation Army.
Even there, you can't escape. It reminds me of like you survive a shipwreck and you wash up on an island and then the birds are singing the riff or something. It's like,
dude, right?
Everywhere I go, it's there. Damn it.
Yeah, so that is, Seven Nation Army is pretty inescapable.
I think that the White Stripes is a band that everyone seems to love that I just hate with a passion of 1,000 songs. You
know what though? I would rather hear any instrument play Seven Nation Army than hear any instrument play Come As You Are.
I think they both suck. I'd rather not hear either
one. Okay, so
so your turn. What's either way, band you love, everyone hates.
So you're in a time machine, right? And you've been sent back to like 1960s China and the Cultural Revolution.
Okay,
and for your execution,
I don't know what we're doing here.
And for your execution, you get to choose. Is it Come As You Are or Seven Nation Army to death?
Oh, I'd rather just die, period.
It's not a choice.
I would throw myself out a window or something.
You're on an IV.
No, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way
to a pool.
Find another way to off myself. There's no way. And I couldn't
Come on, Scott. You must choose.
I would never choose either of those. Okay, I'll tell you what. I actually like Nirvana more than White Stripes. So I would take Nirvana.
There it is. Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. And I despise Nirvana, as you well know.
Whoa, that's a breakthrough on this podcast, folks.
But that's Nirvana at least has something going on musically in some of the songs.
No, Scott, don't do it. You're saying nice things about Nirvana.
I know, but I hate them too, but they're better than the White Stripes.
I didn't mean to push you this far, dude. Don't do it.
They're better than the White Stripes.
No.
Okay,
no.
Go ahead. Your turn. The next one.
Wait, what am I doing?
We can do either one. You can do band you love that everyone hates or band you hate that everyone loves.
Okay, well, I'm going to take issue with band I love that everyone hates because I have the absolute highest quality taste
okay, this has got to be a significant number
culture.
Of haters. A significant number of haters. It doesn't have to be everybody because clearly everyone does.
I don't know. I thought everybody loved everything that I liked because it was, again,
we just
of
talked
the
about the
highest
online
quality.
Culture. You know for sure that not everyone loves everything.
But I mean, deep down.
In fact, I don't think anyone loves anything. I'll be honest.
Again, back to it's America.
Yeah, yep. Corn trucks.
But everyone loves
corn trucks. Vitamins and such.
I hear McDonald's is now serving corn trucks.
It's the corn truck Happy Meal. Comes with its own truck. And a bottle of gasoline, too.
At Dairy Queen, you can get a corn trucks McFlurry.
Oh, nice.
No, that's actually McDonald's.
I hate to say that, man. I would totally go eat a McFlurry with the corn trucks. You kidding me? That sounds good. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does sound pretty good. Corn trucks and
Come on,
McFlurries.
quit the answer on what's a band you love that everyone hates or a band you hate everyone loves?
Oh, well, okay, so a band, I'm just gonna go easy. Bands I hate that everyone loves, there's a lot of those.
Well, let's just nail one of them and we'll go back and forth. Let's play volleyball here, back and forth. Yeah.
Okay, Sublime.
Oh, you hate Sublime. I didn't know this. This is something I'm discovering about Ryan right now on the podcast. I didn't know these.
God, they suck.
Yeah, they do suck. I don't get it either.
God, they sucked. It's another case of, like lead singer dude died, right? I guess heroin overdose, which is tragic. Yeah. But like the band far outlived. Man, I remember in high school.
That's like that pop punk sort of reggae ska thing,
with kind of reggae ska thing.
Yeah, I hate that stuff too. I'm glad that came and went quickly. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
Very quick. I forget what. Maybe I was watching Futurama or something like that, and like one of the characters said like, I thought we agreed as a species to completely forget our obsession with ska. Ska happened.
That's how we know.
Yep. So.
Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll take the next one. So the band that I just thought about just this very moment that I absolutely hate that everyone else seems to love is System of a Down. And that's a band I hate. I ever see them on Aftershock. If I see them on any kind of a festival like Bill, I just realize that, oh my God, I effing hate this band so much. There's nothing redeemable about them. They're not really metal. They're not really rock. They're not skilled. They don't write great songs. The singers,
I think they're skilled. Darren Malakian's a good guitar player.
I've never heard him play anything I thought was good. It's I don't know. Maybe it's what I'm looking for from a guitar player is not what he's giving. You know what I mean? But
so I think System of a Down kind of falls into the trap of, like the mid to early one of the things I can't stand about
late 90s, right? Like 98 or something.
Yeah, the thing I really don't like about the like mid to late 90s music scene.
Well, there's so much to not like about
it. But there's one particular trend of like, hey, just fly your freak flag.
Yeah.
Which it's okay to, represent your own uniqueness.
Yeah, we're not judging anybody.
But then there's the whole group of people that are trying to be freaks, quote unquote freaks trademark.
But if you're going to be a freak, be like an Alice Cooper freak where you actually have killer musicians with you all the time and write great songs. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing that they don't have. It reminds me of White Stripes. It's just bullshit. It's built on, it's not great musicians. They're not awesome songwriters. There's nothing great about that band at all.
I think there's some interesting things going on, guitar wise and rhythm wise.
I agree
with System of a Down.
That's actually a trend in a lot of the late 90s bands. Really good rhythm sections. Like drummers, bass players, really good.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the guitar players almost to a person suck ass in that time period. You know what I mean? And,
I'm gonna stand up for Darren Malakian. I think he's actually a decent guitar player.
I think he has. Man.
There's some interesting. He takes some interesting approaches to his tone and some things.
I hate his tone so much. God, I think his tone sucks so bad.
But I think that System of a Down kind of fell into the trap of everyone's trying to be like, everyone's trying to be a juggalo.
But they're terrible though. There's nothing, they don't have even two good songs.
I can respect that. I can see how Serge Tankian's
How in the
voice
fuck are they still like a major, like one of the headliners of major festivals still? How is that possible?
Yeah, the headliner part I don't know.
I don't get that. They're nothing good about that band. I no. I've got so much hate pouring out now. I promise I get to the love.
Man, this is a spicy episode.
Okay, how about you? What's your next one?
Wait, so it's a band that
Either way, whatever's on top of your head. Just
wait. So a band that I love that everyone hates. Again, we've already decided there aren't any of those.
It's not true. We talked about one that earlier before we went and started recording. That was the Gary Cherone era Van Halen.
Oh yeah, I liked the Gary Cherone era of Van Halen. Yeah, dude,
Van Halen 3 lineup.
Absolutely, man.
Well, Gary Cherone's a great singer and an incredible, amazing frontman.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't know if anyone's
Human
heard this.
Being's a good track.
Well, that's actually Sammy.
Oh, that's Sammy?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so
the song is
what's the one when they're in the ice castle?
Yeah, Without You.
Yeah, Without You.
Yeah.
That's a good track.
That's
too.
actually, there's a lot of good stuff on that record. But I think the thing with Van Halen 3 is that you can't walk in thinking, I want this to sound like 1984 or I want this to sound like 5150. It's not going to sound like any of those, right? It's going to sound something totally different. If you're along for the ride, then you're going to see it's actually a really great record as long as you go where they're going to go. Like Dirty Water Dog is a killer song. You know, I think The Year to the Day is really killer. Fired in the Hole, I'm sorry, really killer tune. I mean,
yeah, wish that lineup of Van Halen could have got some more run.
I heard that the tour was awesome for that. I heard that because they did a bunch of the old Roth stuff that they had, and they mixed it with some of the Sammy stuff because he did both. And that's what's so cool about Gary Cherone as a singer in that band is he could do both.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's actually really cool.
I mean, kind of the perfect pick. Now, I wish that Mitch Malloy had got a chance with, I wish his chance had crystallized.
Yeah. Well, apparently he was in the band for like a couple weeks or something, and then that's between Roth and Sammy.
Yeah, that was between.
Was it between Sammy and Gary?
Gary, yeah.
Okay. I know also they were talking to the lead singer from Scandal about being the singer, the female singer. I can't remember. How am I spacing on her name? She's awesome. She's a great singer.
Wait, not from Scandal?
From Scandal, yeah.
It's not,
what the hell is her name? I should know this. Jeez.
It's not Chrissy Hynde.
No, it's not Chrissy Hynde.
It's, man, wow.
But she's awesome. Yep. And that would have been very interesting to hear Van Halen with a female singer. Yeah, another band with a great female singer is this band I've heard of called Ex Aegis.
Yes, Ex Aegis is awesome.
Incredible.
And everybody loves them.
That's true. That's a band that everyone loves. No one hates at all. All right, along those lines, I'll kind of piggyback. There's a band that I love that gets a lot of hate, and that is the Trevor Rabin era of Yes. I'm actually a huge fan of that. I mean, Trevor Rabin's one of my all-time favorite guitar players, period.
Sure.
And I love that lineup. To me, that is my Yes. Like, I know that when people think of Yes, they think of it Close to the Edge or, the Yours Is No Disgrace, that kind of stuff, Roundabout. That's what people think of when they think of Yes. To me, I think 90125 forward, like 90225, Big Generator, Union, I think Talk. Those are the albums that I love because I'm a huge Trevor Rabin fan.
So you're saying there's a large contingent of people out there who say no to your
it's
Yes?
just like the Sammy thing. It's the same thing. Like there's all these Roth people who will never accept Sammy as a singer and hate on everything he does. Everything he does sucks. It's like Foreigner, Return Van Halen into Foreigner, which I also love Foreigner. But that people
who doesn't love Foreigner.
And then the old time Yes fans are like, well, they turn him into like Duran Duran or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like,
dude, can you imagine like the geriatric switchblade fight between old and new Yes fans, like in the back alley?
It'd be Canes. It'd be most likely Canes.
Like Canes and Walkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Ron Burgundy Anchorman.
My God, have you seen Steve Howe lately though? Steve Howe is looking rough, dude.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I don't think we're too long for this world. But Trevor Rabin just put out a new solo album, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
really, really good.
Well, we lost Chris Squire.
Yeah, a lot of guys
a few years ago. Yeah,
Alan White too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but the new, by the way, guys, go check out the new Trevor Rabin. Really good, really, really good record. It's oh my God, he's shredding like a maniac. Dude's 60 years old.
That's awesome.
He's shredding. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, but I always love that era. And I'm the same way with Van Halen. I feel like I'm kind of everybody knows that Van Halen's like my biggest influence, right? But I'm equal opportunity. I love the Sammy and Roth eras equally because of my age, I grew up on the Sammy era. He was the singer of the band when I discovered Van Halen.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're totally different things.
But I also love the Roth era. So I started with I think 1984 was my first coming in point on that, and then I got 5150 right after that, and I loved 5150. I thought that was an amazing record, and I listened to it all the time, and kept listening to the Sammy stuff. And then I went back and discovered the Roth stuff, and I remember thinking that was all me. I didn't see like any reason to have like these battle lines drawn. I felt like this is great stuff. Let's all just enjoy the great stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then later on, I just started running into these. I call them old timers. Like,
this
that's not real Van Halen, son. This is real Van Halen. You got to put on the light up the sky.
Dude, this would make for like a really great, like tabletop Dungeons and Dragons style dice game, right? Like Van Halen versus Van Hagar. Look, I painted my Sammy Hagar miniatures. Okay, here's my 8-sided dice.
But talk about a band that's got a lot of haters. Like the Sammy Hagar version of Van Halen has a lot of haters. You know what I mean? And then a lot of the people who love Sammy are so sick of hearing the Roth people. They just talk about how much Roth's a disgrace.
Okay, my Wolfgang just rolled a 10 to your Michael Anthony's 7, so that's, you know.
But I'm that guy. I'm the guy who's the fan of the newer iterations of the bands that I really loved, and I remember being baffled, like, why does anyone have problems with this?
Okay, so I've got one, and I mean, I don't know if anybody even remembers, and I've talked about this on the podcast, but I am a big fan of the Tony Martin, Cozy Powell era of Black Sabbath.
There's a lot of great Sabbath without Ozzy. A lot. I mean, look at
there's a lot of great Sabbath without Ozzy or Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie was there for a very short period of time, though. You only did 2 records with him. You know what I mean? It's not like he was there.
Well, he did 3.
What was the third?
Well, okay, there was Heaven and they called themselves Heaven and Hell.
Oh, yeah. That's not.
You know,
well, they called Black Sabbath. That was those 2.
Right.
And then he went on to thank God because he went on and gave us the Dio record, all those great Dio records. So I mean,
but everybody out there, go listen to the Eternal Idol and Headless Cross, please.
Yep.
Yes, go listen to Headless Cross and just take it into your dark black soul.
Here's the question I have for you, though. Is there a lot of haters for the Tony Martin era of the Sabbath?
I think at the time so if among Black Sabbath fandom, right, there's always going to be the Ozzy or nothing people.
I guess that's true.
Right. So those people
is there any Ronnie or nothing though people in the Sabbath? I mean,
I don't think, I don't know. I don't know if you can have like Ronnie or nothing people. I'll tell you what, I mean, Heaven and Hell is probably the best Black Sabbath album start to finish.
Yeah. I think that I could see that there being a Ronnie or Ozzy or nothing people. I could see that because they kind of are seen as legit. I
think there's some Ronnie or Ozzy or nothing people out there.
Yeah.
But man, Tony Martin, what a great singer.
I think we should always be grateful. We should step back from this, like be grateful that we get awesome music from, Tony Iommi and the rest of Sabbath, Geezer and all those guys. Just whether it be with Ronnie or Ozzy or Tony Martin, it's like, dude, we got great music. So why do we so attached to this guy has to be a singer?
And Tony Iommi's still around, so that's awesome.
And still great, and still cares about being great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is awesome. We're just having an off-air discussion.
Not the most technical player. Like he really
but better than you think, though.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I think Tony Iommi's a better technical musician than you think he is. And actually Jimmy
missing
Page,
a couple fingertips.
When Jimmy Page cares, he does too. When Jimmy Page cares.
Right.
For that window in like the 1971, I think it was, where he cared.
Yeah, that window in the 70s until John Bonham died.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, although The Firm, I mean, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and then Coverdale Page was cool too.
Yeah, it was.
But he wasn't like doing anything ripping and that.
So Coverdale Page was, what, 92?
No, like 90, maybe 91, I want to say? 91,
92,
yeah.
Just like right before the meteor hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can see it in the sky. It was starting to blacken.
It was.
I think that was right before to me, I knew we were doomed when Promised Land by Queensryche came out, and I think it was it Edge of Thorns by Sabotage came out?
And the Queensryche logo was made of wood.
But nothing came of those records, like no one cared. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's when I knew, like, okay, we're really screwed.
I remember when Poison...
Oh my God, Pull from Winger came out at that time too.
Oh, right, right. Which is, maybe our audience would like to know why that album was named Pull.
No, I don't even know why it's called Pull.
Oh, okay. So Kip Winger saw the writing on the wall, right? Like the album was going to be named something different. Like what's the first track on that album? Anyway,
it's not Down Incognito.
It's not Down Incognito. It's something Machine. I can't remember, but anyway.
I love that album. I've listened to it. I've never listened to it in order though. That's why I'm struggling with the first track.
Yeah,
so Starlight Munder's on that album. In My Veins is in the album.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Junkyard Dog is on that album. Who's the Ones on that album? Obviously, Down Incognito's on that album. That's a great record, man. That is really.
It is really. It is really a great record. Well, so Kip Winger already like knew what was happening. Right? He like the grunge apocalypse and Beavis and Butthead had already happened.
He felt the asteroid coming through the atmosphere.
He knew it, right? Yeah. So when you're out skeet shooting.
Oh, okay.
What do you yell before you launch the skeet?
Shoot that with CDF so people shoot it.
Yeah, right. So pull.
I don't know if he was that. I mean, they were really, really excited about that tour. They thought that tour was going to crush, and it did.
Kip said it in interviews. That's why the album's named Pull. He said, just name it Pull because we can just load it up in the skeet shoot.
But I know that tour though. They were that was the first time they were headlining, and they were selling places out. All the way up till the Beavis and Butthead thing happened. That's when that basically ruined them, completely.
I'd be interested to see the timelines. Like,
I know they did like a month or two tour
before the release.
Yeah, they did. They were selling places out. They were actually doing. I talked to Red Beach about this.
Yeah, like in advance of the release of Pull.
And then when they started the Pull tour, they were actually doing great. They were playing, I think, 3,000 to 5,000 seaters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of like, as soon as the Beavis and Butthead thing is like, they would play in a 3,000 seat venue, but it'd be like 1,000 people there. Yeah. And then it was like 600 people there, and then it was like 400 people there, and it was just kind of getting smaller and smaller, and then they knew it was over. And they actually, I think they canceled the end of that tour and just went on their own separate ways. I mean, dude, Kip started doing like acoustic gigs at like Borders Books, just like with a PA, after that, because he couldn't get a gig. No one would hire him.
Acoustic gigs at coffee shops.
But he would go out there and play, the winger stuff, like the ballads and stuff. It sucks. The guy as talented as that, his band is great as that. You know what I mean? He had to freaking Lynn Red Beach like $500 to get the airfare to go audition for Alice Cooper. You know what I mean? That's just, this is a band that was
just the notion that Reb would even have to audition to play an Alice Cooper of all, like,
and Kip knew Alice. He played with Alice.
That's my point, right? Yeah. Like, Kip should be able to just be like, Alice, this guy's all.
Well, we went and toured with him for several years after that. It was him and like Ryan Roxy, I think, were the two guitar players at the time.
Ryan Roxy, Sacramento guy.
Yeah, so those guys were the two guys in that band for a long time. I remember I got really excited. I think, I was probably like a senior in high school when this happened. So I remember hearing that Alice did a live album, and I knew that Reb played on it. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to get that album. I'm going to check out. And then Brian played most of the solos. I was kind of pissed. Like, where's Reb's solos? But I was just so excited to hear him play. It was funny. Okay, now I'll just throw another one out there.
Well, and I'd also like to point out that in 1994, when all of this crap is happening, Black Sabbath releases Cross Purposes with Tony Martin on vocals.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
that's an awesome album.
Yeah,
so everybody check it out.
A time like that with a band like that, when you have like, a legendary band like Sabbath, they're kind of almost immune. Even like Ozzy's Osmosis record, as uneven as that was a big deal when it came out, you know what I mean? And that was like 95, I want to say.
And, I think the benefit for a band like Sabbath at that time is that they also had a pretty large European and Japanese following, right?
Totally.
So their European following is going to...
Mr. Big. That's how they survived that time period. They say, hey, we're going to stay in Asia. We're going to go play, China, Japan, Korea, Indonesia. You're going to go play all those places. And,
I'd like to really thank the country of Japan for keeping good music alive.
Well, there are so much less of like what's the new thing, which I really appreciate. You know what I mean? All right, so I'm going to go with a band that I actually love that's got a lot of haters. I'll go to Wingers. I already mentioned. I don't need to talk about it. We've talked about Winger on this podcast millions of times. It's one of my all-time favorite bands. And Stryper. That's another band I think is badass. Oz Fox, Michael Sweet. I mean, come on.
Yeah, dude, I grew up listening to Stryper, man.
Killer music. I mean, I don't take their religious stuff any more seriously than I take some satanic bands stuff seriously. I don't care about what your political or religious message is. I don't. I just want to hear awesome music, and they bring awesome music.
Yeah, they do. They're a solid rock band, man.
Killer band.
Absolutely.
That band's way better than people give them credit for.
And how many times I've seen multiple photos of Michael Sweet and King Diamond like palling around.
Yeah, because they both respect each other's talent.
Ops.
Yeah, they respect each other's talent, of course. You have to. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Having a guitar tandem like Michael Sweet and Oz Fox in the same band, that's freaking awesome, dude.
I'm glad it seems like Oz Fox is past his brain tumor.
Or at least it's stable or something,
Yeah, man, I really thought Oz would be gone by now.
I did too. I thought when I heard that diagnosis.
I was bracing myself
I thought that
to
too.
hear that news, So, and Stryper's still out doing it too. I mean, they're a killer live band.
Yep, and he's started branching out. Like Michael Sweet's been doing stuff with Lynch, doing the Sweet and Lynch stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then
was it the band with
Joel Hoekstra?
Was that 13? No, it's not 13.
Well, Joel Hoekstra's 13.
Oh, Iconic.
Yeah, Iconic. Yeah. That's a great album too.
Of course. Who's involved? Tommy Aldrich on drums, Michael Sweet, Joel Hoekstra. I mean, my God, that's the killer band. You know what I mean? It's,
absolutely, man.
I think, that's definitely. Okay, any other bands you can think of that you hate that everyone loves?
Oh man, bands that I hate. Can I say Sublime again?
No.
You
gotta kind of very well-trodden territory.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to avoid all the grunge stuff.
It's too easy, right? It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
There's a bunch of bands that I just kind of don't like.
Okay, let's explore that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't get why people love Tool so much.
Well, it's because they want to be seen as like unique and like, deep and intellectual, and no one understands me and stuff like that.
And I noticed there's. Yeah, man, I probably shouldn't mention this because it's local, but I mean, this is not a knock on anybody in particular, but I mean, there's like a Tool tribute band.
Oh, in Sacramento?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people
which
like
is
that band,
fine.
so.
I just, man, like I just don't get it. I don't, and it's okay that I don't.
We weren't meant to get it. I don't think that's something that's not.
Yeah,
aimed at
I guess
us.
it's not for us.
Yeah.
You know,
I respect the musicianship. I mean, everybody in that band can play.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I respect everybody. I mean, I think their music is interesting and ambitious. I don't think it's good music, but I think it's ambitious. You know what I mean? I think it's, you know, it's cool. I don't know. It's not for me. That's a band that I respect, but it's not for me.
Isn't Tool still active?
I mean, they just play stuff here and there. I know A Perfect Circle is like the side band that the singer does.
Is Maynard?
Yeah, but he does that too.
He's the guy that sings like this.
Yes,
every
everything
Tool
is
song
this.
this melody, something.
I know, but because he's so deep, he can't sing. He's so caught in his emotions and trying to express his dark emotions that no one could ever understand.
Hey, our song equals a Fibonacci sequence.
Any other bands? Like, sound like there's a whole, like, I feel like it's a Pez dispenser of hate.
Well, okay, so I'm just trying to stay outside of like all the grunge hate and like anything that's, you know, not within because, you know, a lot of like, you know, there are way more bands that I just don't get.
Yeah, I get you.
Right.
I think
then bands I can't stand, like Sublime, I really never need to hear again. I don't know why anyone got jocked on it.
Yeah, I
remember
remember having a real conversation at the time when the Macarena was popular, that someone was talking to me about how much fun this is, and I was like, what are you talking about? Do you not see how stupid this is? Like, in the moment, like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. He's like, oh no, it's fun, it's cool. I'm like, what? I mean, you're saying the Macarena is fun and cool? What the hell is happening? You know what I mean? I was just
know what? That was the same, that came out the same year that, you know, I graduated high school and I went on that Caribbean cruise where I had to hear Brown Eyed Girl every hour on the hour. Like for the time when Brown Eyed Girl wasn't playing, there were people on the cruise ship doing the Macarena. Thanks for listening to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. Please make sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Now back to the show.
oh my god.
But
that's what I mean. There's some art like that just makes me this cringe and it's like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Okay, so can I include all country music after 1990?
Sure. I mean, that's
like all of it, man.
Can I tell you something controversial? I don't agree with you. I think there actually is some good country music after that, but
dude, I recently had to listen to some Jason Aldean.
Why'd you have to listen to Jason Aldean?
Because the dad was paying me to teach this kid how to play it. That, you know, right? So
like Try That in a Small Town? Is that the song?
I mean, are any of the songs different than the other song? And this is not, and by the way, like my criticism is not a political one. It's just fucking dumb.
I was gonna say, it's a stupid one, right? So it's stupid.
It's just, dude, it's so dumb.
Trucks, cars driving down the lake.
So here's what really drives me nuts is that, I mean, so this particular, I think the song's called My Kind of Party.
Okay.
Which I think it's great to sing about partying. I wish rock music did it more, right? Yeah. But, you know, and, you know, the music videos, like, you know, there's like a green filter on the lens. It's kind of washed out. They're all in a warehouse. Right? It's probably like the warehouse where they actually make corn trucks.
Yeah, exactly. And dual purposes there.
You know, the guy, and like the other three guys in the band look like they could be Nickelback.
Yeah.
And then there's dumbass Jason Aldean, but he's wearing a stupid hat and a stupid belt.
Yeah.
And,
cause he's a cowboy.
You know, right. And all the lyrics have to have that forced posery. It's so posery in like the worst way.
Kenny Chesney's got some of that too, where it's just like purposely
Kenny
stupid.
Chesney, dude. Yeah. I almost threw myself out of a vehicle moving at like close to 80 miles an hour just to avoid anything to make it stop. I was traveling with a sales rep and the guy and I was in the passenger seat and we were coming back from like godforsaken Fresno or Chowchilla or
and he says, you know what we should do? We should stop for a corn trucks McFlurry. He said, sure.
Yeah. So
you know what goes good with them corn truck McFlurry?
Right, so he hands me the corn trucks McFlurry and it's so hokey, dude. Why? Like what? Oh, okay, if you're out there listening, okay, if you're in our listenership and you think that you enjoy Kenny Chesney, there's help out there.
People care about you. You reach out. Don't be afraid.
People love you. Like you have value. You don't need to keep listening to Your brain cells are valuable, right?
Do you ever see the Family Guy episode where Brian becomes stupid? And then Stu takes him around. He's like, goes to like a museum. He's like, "What? This isn't the Kenny Chesney concert." He takes him to like a fancy restaurant. Like, this isn't the Kenny Chesney concert.
That's absolutely perfect, man. Or the Jason Aldean concert.
Well, they're the same guy.
Okay, then furthermore, I'm going to continue with the Jason Aldean. Well, just the new kind. Same thing. I just had to listen to it.
It's kind of, I think the technical term is bro country.
Right, bro country. It's awful, dude.
Yeah. Well, and all I'll say is dumb people need to be able to like music too. You know, dumb people can't follow. Yeah, they do. I mean, there's gotta be some kind of thing. It's almost like, you know, some television is made for children. You know what I mean? It's like you have to, you know, there's gotta be Elmo for kids.
Well, I mean, and
children
are dumb people.
Exactly.
But they haven't grown enough.
And then there are dumb
yet.
adults who need music that they can follow, they can understand. You know what I mean? And that's,
do they though?
I like partying and corn trucks. That's what I like.
Man, and they're, you know, maybe it's bro country, pop country. So, you know, so when I think about classic, like, country music, I do think about elite musicianship.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Jerry Reed, like Glenn Campbell, you know, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like, Glenn Campbell for sure, right? And then all the great, you know, singers over the years.
Oh, dude, I mean, think about it, even up to like that, even guys like Brooks and Dunn had great musicians in their bands. You look at like, Danny Gatton for like straight up country. You got, of course, oh God, I'm trying to think, Brent Mason. You know, there's all these great musicians who've done it forever. You know, I mean, Albert Lee, of course. You know, there's.
Oh, sure. Absolutely, man. And so, you know, country type guitar, but I've never said a foul word about Brad Paisley.
Yeah, Brad Paisley's great. Yep. There's a lot of great guitar playing. There's a lot of great guitar playing in modern country.
But it's not coming from Jason Aldean.
No, it's not.
And it's not. And what's this other band? They're called Parma Lee.
Oh, good Lord.
The song's called "Take My Name." And Scott, you know how I feel about weddings.
You mean sufferings, right?
It's the suffering, right? Like the whole thrust of the song is, "I love you so much, you can have my last name." Oh, well, thanks.
That's just called what
just
weddings
assuming
do.
that, you know, well, not necessarily.
I guess that's true. Not anymore.
You know, I don't know.
That also might be like a low-key, like passive-aggressive shot at modern society, too. You know what I mean?
I think you're giving it way too much credit.
I'm trying to give them, like, maybe they really thought about this.
No, they didn't. And then from a technical standpoint, it's all like mega auto-tuned vocals.
It's not country, like, that should never happen.
It's just on, like, so whoever sang the original track is just close enough to the melody to where it doesn't slip into
meow.
Well, that was like cat sound.
Yeah, that's what it was like.
Right? It's not, it doesn't slip into like Cher or T-Pain robot voice. But it's very obvious. Dude, it's the fluorescent lights of music. It's, you know, the fluorescent light, it might make the room brighter, but it's damaging your brain.
So what you're saying basically is all country music falls into the things you hate that other people like.
Garth Brooks, the Garth Apocalypse, seems like a good dude.
Kiss fan, big Kiss fan, actually.
Oh, I am also a big Kiss fan. Garth Brooks brand of, man, I come from a time, you know.
Oh my God, right?
I know.
We've got to that point. You know, I come from a time
when the arenas were packed with bands that your parents and your church pastor hated.
Yeah, that was the cool thing about him too.
And you know,
might see some titties there and stuff.
Yeah,
like that, you know
dude, and Garth Brooks in like New Country, right? All those bullshit authority figures were like, oh, well, we can do the big show, but country music's safe and wholesome. Yeah. And like a certain chunk of fans were just like, oh, derp. I'll tuck my shirt into my jeans.
Well, you know, that's funny though. That's like a lot of music fans in general. Like we tend to think because we're so passionate about music that everyone's super passionate about music, but they have that old saying like it's like a mile wide but an inch deep. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just like, whatever, it's fine. I'll take a twangy voice instead of a rock voice. That's fine. I don't care.
You know what? I think people like new country because it's safe and socially acceptable.
Well, it's
and
just,
I can't stand
it's
that.
the sort of like, you know, McDonald's hamburger of the world. You know, it's just comfort food. It's nothing nutritional about it. It's not going to.
It's the blandest
it's
of
just
all.
Whatever. This is something I can stick in my pie hole and not think too much. That's basically what it is. It really bums me out just in general about society, how everyone tends to be that way. It's like, whatever, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't see a whole lot of passion from people. And it's funny, when you're a passionate person and you love what you do and you're excited and passionate about it, it can be really off-putting to like the normies. If that makes sense.
Normies.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's weird. They look at that.
Wait, those are the people that like sit at the bar like next to the know-it-all mailman? and just drink away all their troubles.
The doggy dog world, and I'm on milk bone underwear. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I hope like all our fan got that cultural reference, since I'm going full 80s today.
But no, I find that very strange. Like, how can you not be passionate about like the music you listen to, or like, you know, like if you movies, television, how can you not be passionate about what you love? You know what I mean? I think it's just, you know, I don't know. I think it's something either you have or you don't. I mean, I don't know. You can't force someone to be passionate about something, but it's just what it is. Okay, let me go back to another band I want to talk about that I perceive, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I perceive it's a lot of hate that I feel like is unjustified. There's two of them actually, and they're kind of related.
Okay. I'm all ready to go with my criticisms.
This is Foreigner and Journey. I think those are two bands that are awesome, objectively awesome at what they do.
Dude, Journey is like still selling out stadiums.
I know, but there's so many people who hate. You talk to a lot of people and you say Journey, and then eyes start rolling. You know what I mean? And,
I don't know who those people are.
Well, I mean,
maybe if they're like the more like committed like metal person,
like a Tool fan would roll their eyes at Journey. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? That's that.
Oh well, Tool fans are going to roll their eyes at everything that's not Tool.
I guess so, but you know what I mean. That's what there's a lot of like the cognoscenti of the rock and metal world who would look at that and say, ugh. Foreigner and Journey, that's just corporate rock.
I'm glad you brought up Journey though, because it gives me some hope that like some of the people who might be persuaded by the bullshit wholesomeness of New Country would go to a Journey concert and like get something that, I mean, you can take your kids to a Journey concert. Although, you know, hey, I think you can take your kids to a King Diamond concert.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Fine,
but there is that, you know, the child murder and demons and stuff. So.
Whatever. It's a vampire baby. And you know what? And children can get murdered too. It's, you know what I mean?
This
like,
is how you learn about life, kids. This is
right.
How you do it.
You know, horror teaches you how to process fear.
Yeah.
Maybe more kids would go out and get jobs and move out of their parents' house and get driver's license if they had learned how to process fear.
And then eventually you can work your way up to the point where you can process corn trucks. Yeah. In the exact same factory that Jason Aldean shot his video in.
Actually, there are a number of polymers found in corn trucks, so you can literally never process them. They're just synthetic enough.
Forever chemicals, right?
It's a forever chemical. I hear there's an island of corn trucks floating in the ocean just off the coast of Greenland.
You know, it's funny, a lot of the charitable places I donate to actually are trying to clean up the corn truck island.
Yeah, dude, have you ever seen those volunteers like actually like picking the corn trucks out of the seagulls' feathers on the coast?
Poor seagulls covered in corn trucks.
Yeah, I mean,
one's not going to make it, Johnny. Sorry.
And, you know, every kernel of corn trucks is like shaped like a cowboy hat. So.
I have to say though, Foreigner and Journey though are bands that I think that, and this is what pisses me off. How can you like have people say that how great System of a Down is, and then shit on Foreigner and Journey, which are objectively awesome at everything they do? I don't understand how you can have those two things existing at the same time. You know what I mean? And it's the same person who thinks, oh man, System of a Down is so awesome, who rolls their eyes at Journey, which I don't fucking understand.
I do neither. Although I'm not like so super high on System of a Down. I just think they're good at what they do and they're unique.
Couldn't be more wrong.
It's kind of the same way that I feel about Tom Morello. He's not a highly technical guitar player.
He can be though. He actually can be technical. He's a great player.
Dude, I love Tom Morello.
He doesn't show it in his playing at all.
Yeah, and
that's what pisses me off at him too. I'm with to say, okay, he'll be the song and there's a solo. I'm like, why don't you just play a goddamn solo? Why are you going? I know you can do it. Play a fucking guitar solo. You know what I mean? It's like
I appreciate that he found an inventive way to make sounds on a guitar.
But he claims to be a huge Randy Rhoads disciple.
Sure he is.
Play your ass off, dude. Don't play this bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like
I can see that would be a good co-bill, System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine reunion.
I would just be glad to not.
Audioslave was fucking awesome too. That was the best music Chris Cornell.
I thought that was very uneven. I thought both Audioslave albums were very uneven. There was like
they were a little uneven, but I mean it was still pretty badass.
The good stuff was really good.
I really liked Audioslave as a vehicle for Chris Cornell.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it would be better than it was though. I thought that the combination of those guys would lead to better music than it did. Yeah. You know, I mean, that didn't get sucked, but it wasn't great either. You know,
I think that's kind of the general consensus too.
Yeah, it was fine.
Why it didn't last longer. But,
yeah, I think Prophets of Rage is actually pretty interesting though. I think
it is.
With
Chuck D.
Chuck D. Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting.
Dude, Chuck D is great, man. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. So here's the thing about Journey is that Journey was always Journey. right? And they kind of, they just, they had
Well,
different
the early
iterations.
iteration of Journey was very different from
Robert Fleischman's is a great vocalist too, man. I really wish that first Vinnie Vincent.
I'm going back to
album
like talking
would
about
become available again. But,
I got you. Yeah, that was great.
Right.
But the early iteration of Journey, where they're like a fusion band with Greg Raleigh on vocals, you know what I mean? That's a very different version of Journey than what anybody
Totally.
thinks. It reminds me of like the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac thing, you know what I mean?
like Uli Roth Scorpions.
Yeah. Okay, that's another one I was going to mention too. Is I'm actually this is not very popular amongst a lot of Scorpions. I mean, I don't know, maybe it is. I'm again way more a fan of the '80s Scorpions than I am the '70s Scorpions. I think the songwriting was just on another level. In the 80s.
I guess. I mean, I can't argue. With
and
that.
I love Matthias Jabs as a guitar player. I think he's a great guitar player.
Jobs.
Yeah. Oh, Jobs. I think he's just such a tasteful, awesome player. He just plays. I think, and that's not that Michael or Uli weren't great players. Of course they are. But I just prefer what Matthias did. I think his stuff was just so tasteful. But you talk to a lot of Scorpions purists, they really, oh man, Sales of Charon and, the Virgin Killer, that's like the real Scorpions. And like, well no, the real Scorpions started with Blackout and went forward.
I never got like an either or vibe on that. It was just kind of like,
I get like a lot
you've also got to check this out,
I got a lot of vibes from people that are like, well, that's not the real Scorpions. This is the real Scorpions. You should listen.
I can say like, this is like the real dope. Like this is the cool stuff that you haven't heard of that like because there was a lot of that growing up among, again, pre-internet.
Yeah.
Here's a band I've got in my, you like that? Well, here's the real dope.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, by the way, whenever someone did that to me, I always didn't like what they should do. Like, oh no, I like this other one way better. Sorry, I was way into this stuff, and I still like that better than that. So
You'll
sorry.
Be like, I'm not into dope.
Well, that's true.
Real or otherwise.
But it's like I always thought the songwriting was so much stronger in the '80s Scorpions than in the '70s Scorpions. It's from a pure songwriting standpoint.
Well, sure, and it was less proggy for sure.
Yeah, but that's not to say it wasn't cool, but it wasn't like as direct, and it wasn't what I was looking for. I was coming from like Dokken and Van Halen and Whitesnake and Ozzy.
Dude, Scorpions are a main, like that era of Scorpions. That's a main reason I play guitar at all.
Oh, dude, I love it. From Blackout to Crazy World, I think that's like my favorite era of Scorpions right there. That's killer. Scorpions.
Hello, Sacramento. Scorpions. Yeah.
But I think that's most people. That's their most popular era. But there's this thing amongst fans, though, like whatever the most popular era, they just rage against that. Like, well, the most popular, that wasn't the real thing. They sold out, man.
That's the machine against which they rage.
Yes, exactly. Tom Morello should write a song about that.
Yeah. I'm sure he probably has, yeah.
But you know what I mean? There's like, that's a common thing. Like, they just want to trash whatever the most popular era of that band is and say, well, this is the real band. There's like this, and.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I mean, there's always I think in internet terms, they call those edgelords these days.
I've never heard this term. What is edgelords?
I'm super edgy with this controversial take.
You mean like this one that always go against the grain, sort of trying to rouse
like contrarian kind of.
Yeah,
right?
I guess hot take artists, sort of. I guess
so. Yeah. Anyway, I could be totally wrong too, but.
Well, what's funny? I think most stuff, if you really look at it, you could find something to like in almost everything if you really try. You know what I mean? If you really try. I'm just getting some redeemable thing somewhere. You know what I mean? That's like I said, unless it's Jack White, nothing. No, that's music like the orifice of the hell opened up. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, well, the only thing I'll say is a positive about either of those people is at least they show people who aren't guitar players, people playing guitar, which is good, I guess. At least they like the Lil Wayne thing. Maybe horrific what he's playing, but at least they see him with a guitar and they puts that in their head that there's a guitar out there.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, Jack White gets points then.
I guess.
For that.
Exactly.
I mean, although I guess if you're reading Guitar World, you probably already know what an EVH
There's nothing worse though than a person who grew up in the 80s and was like learning to shred and stuff, who now is a giant Jack White fan. That makes me so heartbroken to come across that person. I'm like, okay, you've heard Eddie Rhodes and Eddie Van Halen and Steve Vai, right? Why the fuck are you listening to Jack White? Yeah. That's what I keep thinking. It's like, it does nothing for you there. It's like I don't.
Maybe they had a crush on Meg.
I guess it's possible, but
I don't know.
Maybe
something.
I just look at that and I think, how can you grown up with all these great guitar players? I can name 100 guitar players off the top of my head that are way better than him that you should be way more into. You know what I mean? It's like I don't get it. It's like a hipster thing. It's like this
oh, there it is.
You know what I mean?
There's definitely a hipster element. Okay, I get it. Yeah, there's a hipster element for sure. For sure.
So, okay, now here's the last take on any other bands that you absolutely either love or hate that other people don't agree with you on that.
I mean, look, everybody loves King Diamond.
Yes,
and
that's why they're number one on the pop charts.
And everybody loves Merciful Fate.
That's true.
Let's see, what's some other stuff? Man, I don't know. Again, like everything that I like is of the highest quality. Now, sometimes some people couldn't see it, but yeah.
Okay, I'll show some last one for today because we're almost out of time here. But low hanging fruit. This is easy. Yngwie Malmsteen. That's somebody.
I love Yngwie Malmsteen.
Who gets so much hate. It's ridiculous from guitar players who should know better, who are talking crap about Yngwie, and then,
agreed.
Yes, he brings some of that on himself with the things he says and the fact that he writes the same song over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yngwie he's an icon. He's become like a superhero kind of character. Right?
Yeah, but he's always been very polarizing though.
Of course. I think by design he's been polarizing.
Do you think so? Is it by design?
I do. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fear-based stuff. I think when Yngwie came out, he had such a level of technical facility that people were terrified of it.
Sure they were, absolutely.
Yeah. People who were terrified of Eddie and Randy, which they should have been terrified of those guys, were really terrified by Yngwie.
Yeah, well, Yngwie was the next guy that terrified everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And then that brought on, the Marty Friedmans and Jason Beckers and, Paul Gilberts and Paul
Gilbert was so terrified he was scarified.
Which is a little bit more than terrified.
Yes.
And an awesome, incredible track on the Street Lethal album. So,
yes, and so to defend himself, he ripped Yngwie off.
Yep. Well, so did everybody for a good 4 or 5 years.
So there was, so that's where the song YRO comes from. It stands for Yngwie Ripoff. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Racer X tune YRO is Yngwie Ripoff.
Yeah, everybody was ripped off Yngwie when he came out. But I think that
Yngwie raised the bar.
I think, he did. He took it up from what Eddie and Randy did. And to me, I look at it, it started with like the 60s players, like, the Page, Beck, Hendrix, Clapton, right? Maybe throw Pete Townsend in there and David Gilmour, you know what I mean? And then the next group of big guys was like Schenker and Blackmore, who like really took it up another notch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Eddie and Randy came out, that took it up another notch. And then when Yngwie came out, it took it up another notch. And
right.
I think that people kind of like, who were like stuck in the 60s kind of blues stuff, they really couldn't handle what was going on with Yngwie at all. And that's why they started saying like soulless, technical, all this kind of crap like that. And that's
always the knock, right?
Well, that's the knock of someone who doesn't have any technique.
I was listening, I think it was an interview with Craig Goldie that I was listening to recently, and he was talking about his time with growing up as a guitar player and then playing with Giuffria and then eventually in Dio, right?
Did he play with was Giuffria the one that Wendy Dio was managing before?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Or wasn't there another band in between that though? It was like Giuffria, there was another band, and then
there was Rough Cut.
Rough Cut, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
With Paul Shortino on vocals.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just talking about, I'll have to dig it up. He was talking about how many times, he'd be out auditioning in bands and then, and he was in the same scene with guys, I think Jake Ely, like all that whole group of guys, and how many
George Lynch and stuff, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
And Vivian Campbell's and Dio.
Yeah.
And he just talked about how many times he had to go back to the woodshed.
Uh-huh.
He'd think he was at a level and go out and audition for some bands that he'd have to go back and practice some more.
Well,
and then he'd go out on a bunch of auditions. Yeah, so, props to Craig Goldie.
Yeah, because he became a great guitar player.
That's what it was, right? You had to,
listen to Dream Evil if you want to hear him.
Yeah.
That's
such good stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that back then it was like a healthy kind of competition. Like it was like people I never understood this. Like you see a great guitar player and I'm terrified I'm giving up guitars. I've never felt that in my life.
No, I've never felt that either.
You work harder. That's what you do. You know what I mean? And it's inspiration. It's like, dude, I can do this. I can achieve that.
If you want to do a thing, you just do it over and over until you can do that thing.
And do it well.
To oversimplify.
Yeah, exactly. We got to be committed and stuff. But, by the way, if you want to hear more about the Yngwie conversation, listen to our episode, Shredding on Guitar is Playing with Feeling, because we talk about that whole thing a lot, and like a lot of the emotional crap that's going on with the old schoolers who looked at the technical players and said, these guys are a bunch of soulless, scale jockeys or whatever. It's like, playing sloppy blues pentatonic licks is so much soul. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whatever, dude.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's funny on a side note, this last thing I'll mention because we're running long a little bit, is going to be this. I recently rediscovered Great White. I went back and listened to their two great records.
Okay.
Mark Kendall's a hell of a guitar player, man.
Yeah, Mark Kendall's a great guitar player. I can never hear, so on songs I never need to hear again from the past.
Oh, Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Yeah, dude, that was just on such heavy rotation. Well, and back in the day, again, when I was a kid, my parents didn't have cable TV, so the only music videos I got
Yeah, once in a while, like Hit Video USA be on like on
late night video party, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Saturday night on.
I used to tape that. I used to stay up and like record
Yeah.
that on VHS tapes when I was a kid.
Yeah, because you saw the local bands at the El Dorado Saloon.
Yeah, I remember that.
With the 93 Rock DJs there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It was like a big
Spanky
thing.
Burns would be,
Yep.
yeah.
I remember it's funny.
Yeah, they just ran that video every weekend. So I really think it's Jack, the
Jack
singer.
Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Russell, man, I could do without. I just don't like his voice.
I actually really like Great White. That's a band I've always been into. And I equate Mark Kendall with a little bit with Mick Mars. And those are two guys who were like 80s guitar players who were so clearly, now I'm listening to it from a current perspective. When I was a kid, I didn't know what was why. I was like, oh, it's a great guitar player. It sounds cool. But he had like the cool Kramer with the graphics and he had the whammy bar. And I thought he was just a total modern guitar player. But listening to it now, I'm like, oh, he's just basically a 70s kind of player. But he knows that I got to throw like a tapping thing in here. I got to do a whammy bar dive here to kind of make it feel 80s. And I think that Mick Mars did a lot of the same stuff. He listened to some of the solos. He would like throw in the trill and then whammy dive.
So props to those guys for pulling it off. Like that would be the trick, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of the 70s guys that tried to integrate some of those techniques and maybe it came off sounding a little forced.
But because of their image and the guitars they're playing and stuff, because they had thoroughly modern guitars, they were playing like Kramers, like reverse headstock Kramers with Floyds and stuff, and they were able to kind of make it look like they're like a fully cutting edge guitar player when they're so clearly closer to like Ace Frehley than they are like Eddie Van Halen.
I've told the tale of the Mark Kendall website on this podcast, right?
You know what's funny? Another guy that I gotta give major props to. We'll go back to check out one of our podcasts. We talked about it before.
Yeah, and definitely don't search markkendall.com. don't do
or
that.
do. I don't know.
Well, it's been a while. I mean, it was back when Crate amplifiers existed.
Yeah, Crate amplifiers thankfully is non-existent for a while.
Yeah.
But the one guy I want to give major props to though is Bruce Kulick, because Bruce Kulick's a guy who's from that same sort of cut of the same cloth, but by the time he got into Kiss, he was so clearly had worked on his chops because he had legit chops.
Hell, give Bob Kulick credit.
Well, listen to the intro to No No No. Off of, I think it's Crazy Nights. Oh, dude, he's shredding. I mean, and
Bruce is great.
He's very much of that 70s, same as like Mark Kendall and Mick Mars and those guys, but he really clearly worked on his technique when he got the Kiss gigs. Probably because Mark St. John and Vinnie Vincent were there before him. You know what I mean? And
Vinnie Vincent, such a great songwriter, man. And Vinnie Vincent is one of those, I mean, and this is, I guess, so Vinnie Vincent was also a 70s guy that had to change,
chops,
that had to build up his chops. And I mean, yes, he does have those like angry swarm of bees moments because he's a 70s guy that's trying to fit into a post-Yngwie landscape,
trying
right?
to compete with Yngwie.
But there are still some musical moments of greatness and just the audacity that even in some of Vinnie's solos.
Yeah.
I think
Vinnie's writing
exciting.
is really good. I mean, Vinnie's writing is great. Listen to the Vinnie Vincent Invasion stuff, the stuff on the Revenge, the stuff in the Kiss. I mean, good writer, and he could seriously play. Back
on the Streets is kind of like his claim to fame song with VVI, right? Like the Robert Fleischman lineup. Mm-hmm. Fun fact, I was listening to one of John Norum's his solo album that released in like 88 or something.
Oh, cool. That was awesome, dude.
It is awesome. It could use a remaster.
No, a lot of stuff from that time period could.
Sure, but I mean it's available on Apple Music, and so I'm listening through, I get to maybe track 12 or 13 and hey, this sounds familiar. He covers Back on the Streets.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's the song that Vinnie was shopping around back in the day, trying to get a contract. Yeah, trying to get a record deal. So, anyway.
By the way, speaking of guitar players, everyone should go check out Key Marcello's solo album that came out like 2 or 3 years ago called
So good,
Scaling Up.
man.
Such a great, Key Marcello is an awesome guitar player. He's incredible.
He really is.
He is incredible. He's fucking amazing guitar player. I can't believe he's not like more of a household name as good as he is. You know what I mean?
He's probably a household name in Sweden?
Yeah. But I mean, maybe. But his playing is unbelievably great.
Hey, whose household?
We're talking a lot about Kiss today. Let's talk about the Kiss End of the Road thing that just happened. So we try to keep this podcast not to get too behind the scenes people evergreen, which means we try not to talk about things that are too timely because they might get stuck in a certain time. But the end of Kiss.
Now, luckily, Kiss has probably had their last gig about 15 times now. So
that's true.
So this topic is still in fact
and we shall have their
evergreen.
avatars forever. So Kiss will always be evergreen.
Yeah, I didn't like the avatars.
No, I don't like that either. But what do you think about because I think you told me you watched the End of the Road concert?
Yeah. We watched. I mean, Paul and Gene have been stealing my lunch money for decades now. It was cool.
Oh my God, really? It was cool.
Yeah.
What was the thing that made it like not awesome? What was like not blown away? Was it just the advanced age of the guys? Was it the audience? Like what was?
Man, maybe it's hard to put my finger on. Maybe it was just the way that it was mixed.
Oh, really? So the audio was not great.
It's not that it was not great. It was, I mean, maybe just not being there in person, it's easier to pick out some of the musical shortcomings.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, because you're not in the concert experience. Yeah.
So they added a part that I don't remember seeing in previous performances where Paul Stanley and Tommy Thayer are doing kind of like a guitar duel. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's just the same, like, stock pentatonic phrases, which, I mean, what you'd expect. I don't mean it had to be, like, super technical, but, it was kind of like bridge pickup-y, kind of, like, really, like, ice-picky tone, kind of. Like, I would have chosen it. There was just something about it. Man, it's hard for me to put my finger on it. I mean, it's time. It was time, Like, it would have been cool if they were on better terms with other members and could have, I would have been down.
Isn't Peter Criss in like some serious health issues though? Like, would he be able to go out and even play a full
Peter
song?
Criss wouldn't be able to. I don't think.
I mean, I know Fraley could.
Peter Criss had breast cancer.
Is that right? Okay,
he did. Yeah. And Peter was always the oldest of the original four.
Yeah, he's like 80 or something like that, right? He's like
probably. Yeah. I mean, he's probably. I mean, he was an Avatar before the other guys. Yeah. And,
Well, I guess you can argue Eric Singer is an Avatar.
You know what? Eric Singer is really great.
Yeah, he is. Played in Badlands, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Okay, so when it's time to hang it up when, like, the best part of the show is the drummer.
Well, you know what hang up is like, this is why they're hanging it up, because their audience is as old as they are. So it's like you look out in the crowd and you can see a bunch of 75-year-olds out there who've been Kiss Army since like 1975.
I mean, people bring their kids and shit.
No, so, it's true, but
that's fine.
That's something actually I'm starting to get a little ooged out by lately. Is like seeing concerts from like bands that I was a kid and grew up listening to, and then I love seeing the bands. As the bands almost to a point. I watched like Night Ranger recently, Def Leppard, M3 Festival. You look at some of the stuff from that. The rock, was it the rock cruises or whatever?
The Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah, the bands are bringing it still. They're still great. But then the people make the big mistake of swinging the camera over to the crowd.
Right. Yeah,
oh my God. It's like the guy who's like
old women in halter tops.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like the dude who's like the bank manager who's like standing there like drunk and just like, it's like going, oh my God.
Right.
Don't show that.
Well, wearing like the leather bracelet with the metal studs.
It makes me so like ooged out. I'm like, oh my God, this is like the youngest person there is like 60.
I think and then there's the Avatar thing with Kiss, right? I really think, and Paul had mentioned this, a few years ago. Like, he thinks that Kiss can carry on without any original.
So what, like a movie sort of thing? They're going to have
I just think they should hire like the absolute best, I agree with that. Paul Stanley impersonator, the very best Gene. There was that Spiro guy that did the Kiss tribute band for years. Like, just find like the best dude to be each character.
But isn't that what their plan is, to have avatars going forward and doing concerts? Like, I don't understand. It's like holograms, like a hologram show? Is that what it is? Or
yeah, so here's what bothered me is that the avatars, I mean, Paul and Gene and Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer, like, all went and did like a mocap session, like motion capture, like they do for video games and stuff. Yeah. And then they took those motions and then they attached them to these digital avatars, right? Mm-hmm. But the digital avatars are kind of like low detail, sort of cartoony looking.
Sure.
And you know how I love it when stuff gets, sanitized and watered down to please children.
I think that's why they did it. It wasn't like a cheap end. We couldn't get the best CGI artist to do this.
Kiss could get the best anything they want to do anything. I mean,
well, why not make it totally photorealistic? Because you could totally do that. I mean,
that's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be because they're trying to make it like a family friendly, bring your kids, which has been a knock on Kiss since, since at least the Love Gun era.
Yeah, I mean,
ever since Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, or Kiss versus Attack of the Phantoms, whatever you want to call it.
Kiss Saves Santa.
That's been the knock.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think that's been the thing from the beginning. Like, a lot of the people who are the most passionate Kiss fans I've ever met are people who were like 12 years old in 1977.
Well, but the cool thing about Kiss is that, like, I mean, everyone knows what Love Gun's about.
Yeah. It's about shooting people with love, right? That's what it is.
It was a real like hippie culture,
Yes.
post hippie culture.
Everybody should just love each other, man. That's what it is.
You know,
so
like,
groovy.
So even if the action figure thing was taking off, like there's still the wink wink. Like, my parents got me these, action figures, but do they know that they're just singing about drinking and fucking? Right? These days, right?
Especially back in the Ace Frehley days. Yeah.
Of course, right? And so there was still something a little bit subversive, transgressive to, even if you're a kid, if you're an older kid that you can still be in on the joke, right?
Yeah. It's kind of cool. It's like you're getting one over on your parents. It's like the boogie in the butt thing.
Oh yeah, totally right.
Exactly.
Yeah, having a cassette with "Boogie in Your Butt" by Eddie Murphy, right?
Oh, it's in your butt, not the butt. It's
no,
your
I
butt.
think it's "Boogie in Your Butt."
Because I just sanitized it. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, so it's "Boogie in the Butt." Put the boogie in your butt. I mean, you could, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna.
Someone please sample that and just loop that like as a.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna get out of the art whatever you put into it. Right? Well, whether that be the boogie or something else.
That's hilarious.
It is, yeah. So at least it was like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to bring everything full circle, my big problem with mainstream art is that everything, right? Whether it's Star Wars or Garth Brooks or, movies, television, everything is sanitized down to make it acceptable to what people think kids can handle.
Well, you know why that is,
right?
Though, right?
Money.
Yeah, commerce. That's the reason why. They have a much bigger audience if you can appeal to everybody.
But so here's the difference. Well, it's who's making the decision though. Like Kiss was always about commerce.
Yeah.
I mean, Gene has a baseball cap.
No doubt about it. I mean,
with a money bag with a dollar sign on it, right? But there was still that fun thing going on.
Yeah.
Love Gun. I get it.
Yeah,
right?
it was part of the rock culture at that time too.
Right, Plaster Caster. Yeah. I know what that's about.
Yeah, exactly.
But the kid, but the parents think it's just a fun, silly song, right?
Yeah.
There was that edge.
Yeah.
There's no edge in anything that's mainstream anymore at all.
Yeah, I mean especially now, there's so many minefields about people's sexual identity and about transgressive violence towards women and people who have less sort of power in the world. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of minefields if you're trying to be transgressive.
Sure. Well,
it's the least safe time to ever do that you can possibly imagine. I mean,
no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And then there's a lot of how do I put this without? There's a lot of prudish. There's a prudish culture. There is a puritanical cohort.
Well, that was happening big time in the 80s, though, dude.
Okay. So then here it is,
Satanic Panic, as we talked about many times on this podcast.
So there's always been a puritanical cohort in the United States. It's just the difference is that when it came to arts and culture, like that wasn't being bent to appease the Puritans. We rebelled against them.
That's what rock and roll was all about. Yep.
That's right. Nowadays, everything that's out there, it's bent to appease the puritanical cohort. And that sucks.
I don't know that's true, man.
Again, Star Wars, Disney, the popular, like the rise of new country since the 90s. Dude,
well, you know what though? What's the most popular form of music in the United States right now, though? Hip hop,
rap and hip hop.
Yep, that rap and hip hop. That is not that at all. It is much more rock and roll.
Some of it is too. Well, there's some. You know what? I can't honestly.
That's partially why it's so successful.
I can't. You know what? I don't really listen to enough of it, so I can't really.
But it has that same thing that you were just talking about. Rock and roll had back in the day. It has that sort of danger to it.
Oh, it does. No, yeah.
That's probably why it's so successful. You know what I mean?
That's, Sorry, I misunderstood your point.
Whereas I think metal and rock, we're still trying to relive the 80s and in the 70s. I think that's the problem because you can't go back and relive those days. We have to make new versions that are inspired by those days. You know what I mean? And also I think that the culture has just changed since the 80s and 70s and 90s and stuff. I think it's just that sort of rebelliousness against the man is not really seen as a thing anymore. You know what I mean? It's not. I'd rather be part of the man because I can get my PlayStation 4 and stay home and have Uber Eats, and you know what I mean.
That would be PlayStation 5. Scott.
Okay, whatever it is. I'm sorry. I'm a Nintendo Switch guy. I don't even know about that.
Oh, talk about sanitized for kids.
I have kids.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
So there you go. Anyway, let's wrap it up on that happy note. Thank you guys
So you know what? You're always welcome to bring your son over for Exorcist and a bottle of whiskey, man.
Yeah.
It'd be a good experience. The three of us with some The Exorcist. I mean, the whiskey's optional. I mean, I'll just drink all of it.
All right, but it has to be Exorcist believer though. All right, so thank you for listening to the Rocky Talk Confidential Podcast with Brian and Scott. Please make sure to rate, subscribe, and review this podcast. Just hit that subscribe button. That'd be really helpful to us all. If you want to hear more about what we have going on, please check out our band website at xagesband.com, and there you will find links to our social media, and please follow us on that.
That's www.exagesband.com.
Learn it, live it, love it. All right, See you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening.
Peace.